That guy didn't have insane reactions. He barely moved his mouse. And that's exactly why you died. After hitting top 150 EU and coaching nearly 100 players for ranked, I can tell you, the biggest gap between gold players and high elo players isn't reaction time. It isn't aim. It's what they do with the crosshair before they even see the enemy. They're doing 90% of the work before the fight even starts. And today, I'm breaking down the 5 crosshair placement skills that make that possible. But here's the thing most guides won't tell you. Keeping your crosshair at head level is only the first layer. There are 4 more, and the last one is the reason you're whiffing shots, use where you should be hitting. Let's start with the foundation. Your crosshair needs to live at the head height. Always. The reason is simple. Vertical adjustments are the hardest flicks to make. If your crosshair is already at head level, you have eliminated the hard part. You only need to adjust left or right, which is exactly what you train in the range and in deathmatches. But how do you actually know where head level is? Because you can't just guess. Valorant gives you the answer. The top of these standard boxes, that's exactly head height. And when you see 2 boxes stacked, that horizontal line splitting them in the middle also head height. But it goes further. On almost every map, Riot has placed clues directly on the walls. Horizontal lines, window frames, paint marks, decorations, all sitting right at head level. On Bind, look at this paint line on B long. On Abyss, look at the mid corridor. These clues are everywhere once you start noticing them. So, how do you train this? Deathmatches. Careful, not team deathmatches. Regular deathmatches. And here's why that matters. In regular DMs, you're playing an actual ranked maps with all those environmental clues I just showed you. Team deathmatches uses custom layouts where those references don't exist. Every time you take a fight in DM, ask yourself one important question. Was my crosshair at head level before I saw the enemy? Don't worry about winning the duel, just isolate this one skill. That focus is what makes it stick. Now, keeping your crosshair at head height is the foundation. But it's only step 1. Because where you place your crosshair horizontally matters just as much. And most players get this completely wrong when they hold angles. You have felt this before. You're holding an angle perfectly, someone swings, and they're past your crosshair before you can even click. You die, thinking picking is overpowered and holding is useless. Here is what actually happened. Your crosshair was too close to the corner. You were holding too tight, and the enemy flew past your crosshair before your brain could send the signal to click. The whole point of holding an angle is that you shouldn't need to adjust. The enemy walks into your crosshair and you click. That's it. That's the advantage. But you throw that advantage away the second you hold so tight that they cross your crosshair faster than you can react. So here's what nobody explains. Whether you hold tight or wide isn't random. There is system. And once you learn it, you'll know exactly where to place your crosshair in every single situation. The rule is this. The faster the enemy is moving on your screen, the wider you hold. The slower they're moving, the tighter you can afford to hold. That gives us clear situations. Hold wide on common angles. Everyone knows you're there. They're going to full swing. Hold wide at close range. When they're right on top of you, they cover more of your screen per second. And hold wide against rushes. After a Sova dart or an execute, they're sprinting. They're gonna run at you. Your crosshair needs to be way off the wall or they'll just blow past it. Now, flip it. Hold tight on off angles. If you're in a spot they don't expect, they're gonna shift walk into you. They're slow. You can afford to hold tighter. And hold tight at long range. From far away, their movement across your screen is minimal. Therefore, before you hold any angle, ask yourself one important question. How fast is the enemy going to be moving when they appear? That answer tells you exactly how wide you'd have to hold. Now, you know where to keep your crosshair when you're standing still. But what about when you're moving? Because this is where gold and plat players lose the most fights. And they don't even realize they're making a mistake. Watch this. See how the crosshair is glued to the wall? When the enemy appears, this player has to flick from the wall to the body. That's a full correction under pressure and they die for it. Now watch the same angle done right. The crosshair sits slightly off the wall, right where the enemy body will actually appear. As this player moves, the crosshair stays locked on that spot. and when the enemy shows up, they walk directly into the crosshair. This is called slicing or scaling the angle. You're gradually revealing more of the angle as you move, and your crosshair is ready to fire the entire time. Here's the rhythm. You're walking and your crosshair tracks slightly off every corner as you pass it. Track, 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 but the moment a common position is coming up, a box someone always plays behind, a corner where you know someone sits, you stop tracking and you pre-aim it directly. Then you pick that specific spot. Track, track, pre-aim, pick. Track, track, pre-aim, pick. That becomes your rhythm when entering any space. Your crosshair is never just dead on a random wall, it's always clearing the next position someone could be. And here's the key detail. What makes something a common position? It's any spot with cover nearby that an enemy can hide behind. Corners that form 90-degree angles, default plant spots, boxes. If there's something to hide behind, someone's going to be there. What this does is make sure you're only exposing yourself to one fight at a time. You're isolating 1v1s, and because you're pre-aiming before you peek, your crosshair is already on their head when you come around the corner. This ties directly into how wide you peek. Peek too wide and you expose yourself to multiple angles at once. You have thrown away every advantage. Peek too narrow and the enemy sees your shoulder before you see them. The sweet spot? Peek just far enough to expose yourself to one angle with your crosshair already placed on the position you're checking. Now, if you're doing everything we just covered, head hide, correct hold distance, tracking, pre-aiming, you are already doing 90% of the work. But that last 10%? That's what separates the players who hit Immortal from the ones who plateau in Diamond. And it comes down to one tiny skill. That tiny flick right there, that's a micro adjustment. Your crosshair placement got you 90% of the way to the target, but the enemy crouched, played a slightly off position, or you were just barely off. The micro adjustment covers that final 10%. And here's why so many players whiff this. They shoot too early. You see the enemy, your crosshair is close, and you panic click before you have actually corrected onto the head. Give yourself that extra split second. Let the micro adjustment finish before you pull the trigger. 100 milliseconds of patience turns a body shot into a headshot. This is also why lower to medium sensitivities tend to perform better in Valorant. Micro adjustments on a lower sense are more controlled. You have more margin for error in your hand movement. So, how to train this? There are two specific drills. First, jump in the range, spawn the practice bot, and move as far back as you can. Pick up a Guardian or your main rifle and shoot one bot to the next. You will notice immediately this isn't easy. The key? Practice at the same speed you play. If your in-game adjustments are snappy, train snappy. If you're trying to be smooth in the range, but you're snapping ranked, you're training the wrong muscle memory. Second drill. Get on the elevated platform in the range and shoot down at the bots. This trains vertical and diagonal macro adjustments, which are the ones people practice the least and miss the most. And if you want something even more targeted, we have built a full aim trainer playlist specifically for micro adjustments. I'll link that one in the description. So let's bring it all together. Head level, always. Use the maps build in clues to stay locked on. When holding, match your distance to their speed. Fast movement, hold wide. Slow movement, hold tight. When moving, track off every corner and preempt common positions before peeking. Isolate your 1v1s. And when your placement gets you 90% there, trust the micro adjustment to close the gap. But give yourself time to actually finish it before firing. Do this and I promise, people are going to think you have insane reactions even if you don't. You are just doing 90% of the work before the fight even starts. That's the difference. If this breakdown helped, subscribe for more coaching content like this. And if you want the full drill library, direct coaching, and a community of players all grinding to improve, the link to our school community and coaching option is in the description. See you in the next one.